This is the ultimate guide for aspiring videographers on how to start a profitable video production company, taken from the steps that I've made to grow my own production company to multiple six figures a month, employing a team of people, having a studio and working on projects all over the world. Now, to make this checklist even easier to follow, I've split it down into three key sections. The first is foundations, the next is sales, and the final part is growth. And a lot of people jump straight to the growth part, but if you haven't done the foundations right, that journey is going to be one bumpy road. So let's get right into this. Oh, and if you're not subscribed yet and you get any value out of this video at all, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. So the first point on our checklist is having a proper email address. There are still too many people who use an @Gmail, @Outlook, or @Yahoo.com email address. And that is something that is going to stop you getting sales down the road. Now, I've trained over 500 filmmakers in our Perspective Academy, and this is the number one thing that you can do to instantly improve your credibility and actually have a better chance of making sales later on. Starting or growing your production company is made so much easier if you know who it is that you actually want to speak to. So that's why the next point on our checklist is to do some target market research. This doesn't need to be overcomplicated. It's literally just asking yourself and doing some research on what kind of areas would you like to work in? Have they got the need for video production services? And also looking at the things that you're already good at. And if you have experience in that industry, you'll be able to talk their language a lot better. Next up is taking a look at some competitor analysis. That's when we take a look at our industry competitors and we start to see where we fit in the marketplace. And by the way, we do this every single time we enter a new industry or a new niche. We'll start to analyze the competitors to see where we fit in amongst the crowd. And more importantly, how we can stand out. This is going to give you so much information about pricing, quality of work, the type of words and terminology they're saying, so that you can better shape your business to again increase those success rates so that you can make more sales and grow quicker than they are. Next up, if you're starting from scratch, then you need to create some kind of portfolio. And I would give you two suggestions here. If you are starting out, I would use a swap strategy, which is where you message companies asking to do a swap for your services. So you can make a video about, let's say, their watch company, and they will send you some watches in return. This is a strategy that we've used in the past, and it just means that there is some kind of transaction, so you're not doing it for free. Or you could go down a risk reversal route, which means that if they don't like their video, they can have their money back. Now, guaranteed you're going to do a good job on that, but it takes the risk away from the client and actually means that they're more willing to go with you. And of course, the end goal is they like the video and you get paid for what you're worth. Now, most of these foundations are pretty easy, and I'm imagining that most of you have already ticked off a lot of this. So let's have a look at sales, because that's the key to unlocking quick growth within your business. And on our checklist, I've actually split the sales section into two key areas. The first is acquisition, so when we actually gain some clients, and the second is retention, because if all we're doing is just acquiring clients but letting them go and not retaining them, then that's going to be a really bad business model, and we want to avoid doing that. So the acquisition checklist, the first thing I'm going to do is a research and development phase. So I'm going to give myself a time limit. That might be a space of a couple of weeks to a month, where I'm going to be testing lots of different methods to generate sales for my business. And I'm going to be looking at particularly outbound sales, which is when you go out to people and say, hey, I exist. Are you interested in working together? You're not just using a hope strategy where you're sitting by the phone hoping that someone recognizes you've just started a business and wants to send some work your way. And this research and development phase can comprise of cold calling, direct messaging on social media, and emails. While that's happening in the background, I'm going to be able to tick off the next point on my checklist, which is attending events. Now, I'm going to be specifically looking at industry events where my target audience is. So if I'm going after the automotive sector, or maybe I'm targeting food and beverage or hotels, I'm going to make sure I make myself present at those trade shows, those conferences, those exhibitions, so that I can start to talk to people. Not only does this give me a good understanding of what's happening in the industry, it also is the ideal place where lots of my dream clients are, and I can start to spark up conversations about potentially working together. Now our business is really starting to take shape, it's important that we do the next thing on the checklist, which is to set ourselves some monthly targets. This is going to help keep us accountable, and to give you an idea, a starting point would be to send 30 messages a day, whether that's direct messaging, cold calling, or emails. set that target a day and just work out how quick do you want to make sales. The more that you can do in a shorter period of time, the quicker you're going to learn, the quicker you're going to be able to adapt, and the quicker you're going to make sales. However, some people don't want to burn out and they want to take their time over it. But the most important point is that you start to set targets, because this is going to be the foundations of your sales growth, and it's going to mean that you keep showing up every day, and anyone that shows up every day is going to get some results. Now, our retention checklist is actually really short. The first thing you're going to do is block out some time, 1 day per week, to spend focused on your existing clients. And that means checking in with them, seeing how they're doing, seeing if there's any other opportunities in the pipeline, and also researching what's happening with them at the moment, and maybe finding new areas where you can help promote their business through video content. The final part of that checklist is to create a list of opportunities of value. So this could be anything. Have a think about how can you provide more value to that client. Maybe ask them the question, is this video only going to be shown on a laptop? No, it's going to go on mobile. Okay, no problem at all. Well, in which case then we should create this in a vertical format. Therefore, there's an additional charge with that. By creating this list of opportunities that provide the client with more value and are also chargeable is a really quick way to start to scale up your revenue. Now, if you guys want to know the most effective outreach strategies, along with some sales scripts, some email templates, and how we automate our whole process, then make sure you register for our next training event. I'll leave the link in the description below. Go and register. It's completely free to attend, and there is so much value here, which breaks down this checklist in even more detail. So the final part is our growth plan. So our checklist ensures that we're taking the right steps needed to create a solid business. We know exactly now how to generate sales. We know what works and what doesn't. And now we can start to really scale it. Because if we start to jump into the growth phase too soon, what we're going to find is at some point along that journey, we're going to trip over or end up in a pitfall in our business. And we want to avoid that, because if that happens, that means things like no sales. It means plateauing in your business. So we just can't seem to grow to that next level. And it's actually something that I spend a lot of time working with my academy members on my mentoring platform to solve, because often they've grown to a point and they can't just seem to break through that next stage. So we help them decipher this, turn on that light switch that needs to work, and boom, there you go. You have access to more growth. So the first thing I've put on my checklist here is to start to develop a business plan. Business plans don't need to be long and boring. They should actually be short and exciting. It should be something that just gives you an idea of what direction your business is going in. By doing this at this point, knowing now what works and what doesn't, it's going to mean that you can make much easier decisions. Because if a challenge or an opportunity comes to you that doesn't quite align with your business plan and the direction you want to take your business, you now know that. You can identify it and you can make an easy decision whether to choose that opportunity or not. Next up is to generate a freelancer matrix. This is simply just a database of freelancers that you can use to outsource work to. We rank our freelancers based on their quality and their price. So then when we have a project that comes up, we can find the best suited person for that. Now, it's only at this point in business that you can introduce automation. Because if we introduce automation too soon, we haven't yet quite figured out what works and what doesn't. But at this point in growth, we can really start to scale what we're doing. So leveraging tools like Lemlist, Instantly, Apollo, Go High Level, these are all key AI tools that are going to help automate particularly that sales process, but also that client retention and client management. I've included mentorship and networking on this part of the growth checklist, because without it, I don't think our business could be anywhere near as successful. I've personally invested tens of thousands into mentors and various networking groups to really help me understand business better. A lot of creatives are really good at doing what they're doing, creating content, but they're not as good at understanding the business model. They go through cycles of what we call feast and famine, where some months are really busy with work and then the next is dried up. And that can be worrying and scary, not knowing where that next paycheck is coming from. Surrounding yourself with the right people, the people who have been there, they've walked the same path that you have, and they can provide you with an insight of what to avoid, and actually avoiding those problems you don't even know you're going to make yet, and also give you solutions to those challenges that you face right now, because the longer that you're stuck in the business, the more costly that is to your overall growth. If you guys want to know how we take a client that's brand new to us and then sign them up to a 12-month contract, meaning that we can create a predictable cash flow within our business, then simply click the link in the description. Make sure you check out our training event. And if you've got value out of this video, then please make sure you're subscribed. Till next time, peace.